gentlemen, will you please welcome Louie Spence? Marvellous, Louie Spence. You see, you brought out the devil in me. Louie Spence. I love seeing Louie on TV. I've got no idea what he actually does. No. That's the thing. What do you do at the Pineapple Dance Studio? We see this show and I joined it. I started watching because I love reality shows generally. And suddenly, there you are, force of nature. An elemental character, dancing, pirouetting. What do you actually do there?
I'm the artistic director.
What does that mean?
It means that I just don't really do much. I'm just floating around being pretty fabulous. So... Someone's got to do it. I like spitting at people if I get excited.
Well, is that because of what's going on with the whole, the weird, what is the...
Oh, really? Weird?
No, well, no, I'm the first to admit I can't speak very well.
No.
I have a... The word is the W, the R is the W.
Yeah, we'd be crap if we were buying a Rolls Royce. Not that I can afford it.
Don't get me started on the Huawei, because I can't even get anywhere near that. Did something... Well, you just have...
No, I was born with it. I was born with it. I've always
born with what? A big tongue, is that? Or just a weird palate? What's
going on? A speech impediment. No, I was born with a lisp.
So you already had... Oh, you always had a lisp?
I always had a lisp, but when I was 12, I was doing trampolining, and I was doing a double front, and I didn't
Is that
untuck.
a double flip?
Yeah, it's a double front, like that, but I didn't untuck, so I just kept... And when I was concentrating, I was like that. And I went like that, and my teeth went through my tongue. Look.
Oh!
Huh?
I can see it.
Yeah.
How old were you then?
I was 12. Oh. No, I felt more pain since.
Poor little soldier. Louie,
yes.
OK. Talk me through the Pineapple Dance Studio, the show, the experience, the place. You are the artistic director.
Yeah.
In charge of fabulosity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a place. It's been there for 30 years. The dance studio, which you know, everyone comes and rehearse there. All the West End shows.
It's like a landmark. It's like a landmark.
Yeah. I mean, everyone comes there. Like...
When did you join it? Because you were a professional dancer.
Yeah, I've been going there all my life. I mean, I've danced there all my life. But I started working there 10 years ago.
How old are you, Louie? Can I ask that?
I'm 41.
So 41, but you're still incredibly athletic. You still got it all going on.
Yeah, no, I work.
When did you in Cats here in the West End?
Yeah, I was magical Mr. Mistopheles. There you go. Imagine, Mistopheles, all those S's. Yeah. You know, I was knackered.
You still keep yourself in shape, though? You still keep dancing? And is that just for fun, or is that because you're at the Pineapple?
No, it's for fun. It's, you know, I've been active all my life, so it's something that you just can't give up on. Yeah. You know, it just doesn't feel right. If I stop dancing, I feel as though, like, my whole body is just closing in on me, so...
True that, brother, true that.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, get me blood, nothing. Go on with your respect, innit?
Jeremy.
Hello.
Louie teaches dance. Don't you teach dance?
Yeah, I can.
Is there a cut-off point? Could if me and Jeremy wanted to learn a dance routine, what if we wanted to learn, like, something from Cats for children in need, Jeremy? Could you teach us?
What if we didn't want to learn a dance?
I think you should.
My question first.
I think you should. You see, what you'd have to start by going to cat school. Because when you do Cats, like, you had to have, like, cat school, so you'd have to, literally, you'd have to crawl around, like, when you...
Well, could I see a bit of cat action?
Yeah.
How does a cat... Jeremy, watch this, we might be doing this next year.
Now, when you start, you get your character, but then you become the cat, and you... and you undulate like a cat would.
Oh, Jesus.
And then, so you just go around, and then you spray.
Paul, didn't I see that in a Style Council video a few years ago? Or was it the Merton Parkers?
No, but also we'd have to, when we were doing it and we were going around, we'd have to literally do what cats do. We'd have to sniff each other's arses. They'd tell us, you know, like. But mind you, when you're in lycra, it's quite nice rubbing up and down against other people. Like, you know, like silk knickers. No? Can I just say, listen, I was beside myself when they said I went on holiday, hence being so brown. It was very last minute.
Hold it. Oh, sorry. That's such a gay man thing to say, hence being so brown. Like, really bigging up your own tan.
Yeah, well, of course. Why wouldn't I? Listen, I spent 3 days getting back for you.
Oh, did you?
Listen, I think... Like,
well, where were you?
Well, I was in Tenerife. But I was on an island.
Well, you walked back from...
No. Listen, it took 3 days. I had to get the plane, which I maxed out my credit card on. I may be becoming famous, but I'm not rich.
OK.
Right, so, got a plane, then I got to the airport, and when I got to the airport...
who were you with? Were you alone?
No, with my husband. I'm married. We do that now, the gays.
I know. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Anyway, so...
How long have you been married for, Louie?
Married for 3 years, been with him, well, nearly 3 years, been together 10 years.
Well, how lovely. That's so
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Okay.
it is. It's very good.
So you were out there together on holiday in Tenerife.
Out there together, so I thought, when I found out I was coming on your show,
the call, yeah.
I thought, right, get yourself a nice suntan, work out in the gym, get ready for Jonathan,
Yeah.
because I know he's in touch with his feminine side, because you know all of Barbra Streisand's songs.
I am
So-
essentially, I'm just a gay man who doesn't really like...
Exactly. Anyway, got the tickets. When we get to the bus, we had a bus number. Mine was number 4, seat number 52.
Louie. So much more information than I really need. Just the high points.
I got here for you. Gwyneth and them, they could have hired a private jet. Listen, they could have hired a private jet, flown round that cloud and got a boat. You see,
Well, you know what?
That's
Can I
how
just say...
important you are to me.
you know, I am touched.
I'll never forget it.
We had a night. It was special. But you were, for several years...
He could say his ours before I met him.
Those teeth have never been looser.
No.
So you were a bit of an arsehole for a few years, weren't you? It has to be said.
How do you know?
You'd lost your way a bit, hadn't you?
Well, I mean, yes, but we've all done that.
Yeah, of course we have.
Haven't we done?
Yeah,
Yes.
of course we have. But
No,
I'm just
I mean,
saying,
yeah, I mean,
I
yeah.
remember meeting you once and we booked you on a show, and this was when you were... And I know you know,
I remember that Paul
different-
Weller was on the same show.
But no, this was years ago. I booked you, I was a researcher on a show, and we had to have 4 cooks there for you. And this was...
What?
I guess you were... You see, you don't even remember.
I've never... 4 cooks?
Yeah, we had 4 cooks there for
4
you.
cocks, but not 4 cooks.
We had an Indian, we had an Italian, we had
Print.
Yeah.
Spelling mistake, no. But no, that's bollocks.
Yeah, we did.
Again, bollocks. Yeah.
We did. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe it was your management thinking.
Maybe, but
'cause
I've never... my dressing room's demands... Thank God it's at the BBC, you get a sandwich and a peanut.
Yeah.
Are not that great,
But
no.
you're a different
Oh,
person
yeah.
now.
I am a different person, yes. I shaved my bald now.
Yeah. But you're a happier person now, I imagine, are you not?
So would you be?
Yeah, of course. See, I started. I can't
yeah,
complain.
you
I
can't,
can't
yeah.
complain.
You'll look a little lovelier each day.
But you have
You don't shave because you're not gay.
How do you know?
How do you know?
Oh, you've got David with you back there tonight, and I'm
Yeah.
pleased. I've never met David before,
Right.
and I get the feeling that's one of the reasons why you're happier now.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you give up drinks and drugs and you alter your lifestyle so much, and I don't want to go on about it because I've gone on about it so much.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's yeah. And then I met someone, I've been with them 8 years, it's great.
And this is the real deal. This is the
This
one
is
for
the
you.
real deal, yes.
And I think I asked you before, are you going to get married?
No. No, I mean, that's been in the papers. We've been having babies, we've been getting married. And with my hips, I could probably get married and have babies. So far, I would say that if I could protect David, because if I get, if I die and I leave everything to David, or, he's the beneficiary of my will, he doesn't get the same benefits as if, your wife, if you died,
Yeah,
your
of
wife.
course.
So it's very unfair.
You can't actually just map that out, though. I mean, the state would intervene. Is that right?
Yeah. So I mean, we're trying to, hopefully things will change.
You should get married.
Where?
Well, you can get married in San Francisco, can't you, in parts of the world? Is it not legally recognised over here? I thought.
No, it's not. No, you can get married in places like Denmark and Holland.
And would that then be legally recognised?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not keen on marriage, to be honest.
I'll look into it for you.
Thank you very much, yes. You seem to know most things about the gay lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by it.
You are, aren't you?
I am fascinated by it. Would you get me a little
It's
starter?
a miracle he's got 3 kids.
I'd like a little starter pack or something.
Your starter pack?
Just a guide and a few implements.
Yeah?
OK. Here's the thing about Gaga.
Yes.
Is that she's not just a talented performer and looks great. And you write all your own material, don't you? You write, and you've written songs for other people as well.
Yes, I have.
OK, is that what you started as? Were you initially just writing songs, or you were a performer first and then...
Well, I've always been a performer. I've been performing in New York since I was very young.
How old were you when you started?
I was 14.
Wow. And what did you do when you were 14? You were singing and dancing like that?
I played in nightclubs.
What kind of clubs?
All kinds. Singer-songwritery kind of clubs, open mic nights. My mother used to take me because I was too young.
And so presumably your parents were pretty supportive of what
Very
you were doing?
supportive. Well, for a bit.
And then what happened, Gaga?
Well, I started to do a performance art show in New York City with my friend Lady Starlight. And, well, I guess you could say my father thought I lost my mind a bit.
Well, what were you doing in the act here?
Well, I was lighting hairspray on fire, and I was doing go-go dances to Iron Maiden records in headdresses.
In which dresses?
Indian headdresses.
Oh, Indian headdresses?
Yes.
So a headdress, and what
Yeah.
kind of outfit down below would you be wearing?
A bikini.
Ah, a bikini.
Yeah. But my father, My parents were very supportive, and it just was a bit difficult
why-
for them.
Lady Gaga, why would you invite your father to see you dancing on stage in an Indian headdress, wearing a bikini, setting aerosol cans on fire? Whatever possessed you, Gaga?
Because it's art.
But you don't have to show mum and dad.
Well, they were very supportive, and they wanted to see what I was up to.
Well,
and the
that's
truth is that even though for a little while it was a little bit difficult, my parents are very open-minded, very cool. They both did music when they were younger, and they kind of like, you know, just got into it, and eventually, now they're quite proud of me.
Well, I would imagine so. Now they must think, well, you made absolutely the right decision.
I guess I suppose so.
Let me ask you about your clothes and the outfits. You mentioned this is a British design you're wearing here,
absolutely.
so that's lovely for us. Where, you know, when you're looking for clothes, you're presumably looking for stuff which is unusual. Would that be fair? You're looking for stuff which other people aren't wearing?
Not necessarily. Do you think I'm unusual?
I think you're a bit mad, really. But, you know, do you ever go on the internet, Lady Gaga?
I try to stay away.
Yeah, because it's filled with mad rumours.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Would you like to hear a couple?
I'm sure I don't have a choice.
They're not bad ones.
It's okay, go ahead.
Okay, because you know what I think they are? I think sometimes people read your lyrics and they read stuff into your lyrics and then they create
Thank
stuff.
goodness.
Yeah, okay, because there's one of your songs, there's a line where you're saying you're bluffing with your muffin.
Yes.
Right, and then I've been inquired, there's someone who said that Lady Gaga is actually a very well-endowed young man. And I think that might come from that thing. But I've seen photographs from stage, and if you're well endowed, I've got no idea where you're hiding it.
Right.
But that is
Well, I do have a really big donkey dick.
Can we? We'll take the bit out and dub over the words "disco stick" there instead.
Well, bluffing with your muffin, it's, you know, the song Poker Face.
Yes.
It's about poker facing with your sexuality. When I was making love to my old boyfriend, I used to think about women sometimes.
Oh, good Lord. I'm sure he was delighted when you told him, because...
I actually never told him, but I'm sure he's watching now.
Blimey.
Well, that's what the song's about. You asked me. Did you want me to lie?
I was about playing cards and stuff, and Dad had a show with the poker face. I thought it was about that. You go see me the poker face. Remember Anna Deck?
No, it's about muffins.
Suddenly, I feel really old.
There, leave that there.
Of course you mate. What was the tea you were drinking? What sort of flavour was that?
Ginger.
Ginger tea?
Yes.
Very nice. I like the way you perform as well. You have a, not elaborate in a kind of, you know, like flying pigs and big inflatable stuff, but you have a fairly intensive live show, don't you?
Yes.
Smoke and lights and that kind of thing.
Yes, lots of fog.
You do this yourself? You orchestrate all this yourself as well?
Yes, I creative direct everything that I do. It's funny, actually, that you mentioned the fog, because they were trying to explain to me that in the venues I was playing in, that we wouldn't have enough space to fog the stage. And I cleverly reminded them that when I was go-go dancing in New York, I used to carry a fog machine in my purse and fog myself.
No, because all I was going to say was, no one's ever said that to me before. They fog themselves. I can't tell you how long I've waited to hear those words.
But it's true.
I'm not disputing it, but it's a great thing to hear. But you say it like it's a normal thing, and everyone's going, what?
Well, that's just me.
No, it's great that it's you. I wouldn't change you for the world.
That's very sweet.
Yeah. Who do you base your look on? Because I read that there are certain key people who you kind of get compared to a lot. I don't know if you base yourself on them or not. Are there any individuals you base yourself on?
No. I'm inspired by no one.
Because I wanted to do an impersonation of one of the people I read about that you
But
inspired.
you can go ahead and do that.
It was Donatella Versace. Someone
I
said
love
you was-
Donatella.
I do an impersonation. Do you want to hear my impersonation?
Go
of her?
ahead.
But I've never met her.
Go. Don't do it.
Why not? Do it.
Because I like her, so please
Okay, I won't
be
do
nice.
it. I won't do it. I think it's quite funny.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, I'm making the shoes for you. I'm making the trousers. You wanted the trousers. I'm making the trousers.
You think there's any chance that might be what she's like?
No.
What's going on? I'm gonna make a lovely plate for you.
Am I allowed to do this? I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do this.
I don't know either.
Okay.
Hail Mary.
Now I feel a little bit ashamed of myself, but quite excited. Hey, Lady Gaga, how lovely to meet you. I'm thrilled you're here.
You're very sweet.
Are you going to change for the performance, or are you wearing this
Oh,
evening?
yes, I'm changing.
Because that's good enough for me, but
No.
you're going to... What are you wearing later on? Do you want to save it as a surprise?
It's metal.
OK, it's metal. Of course it is. It's been quite the year for you, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an amazing year for me, actually, in a lot of ways. I mean, it hasn't all been awful.
Let me ask you about the jail thing, then, because how much of the year did you spend in jail?
4 months. I
4
mean, I'm
months.
still kind of a prisoner now, because I'm still on licence. I spent 4 months in jail, 4 months on tag, home detention, which meant I was on a curfew from 7 to 7. I could go out between those hours and
So you could go out between 7 in the morning, had to be home by 7 at night.
Yes.
Weekends, you had to stay in or go out?
Yeah, I couldn't go in my garden.
You can't even leave the house in the,
No,
the garden?
couldn't go in the garden either.
How do they know where it is? Is there kind of...
You have a Peckham Rolex on your leg.
I hear they're quite sought after.
And then basically, if you go out of range, obviously, it buzzes. And I mean, I had no trouble with it, you know.
And how do they set the range? They have things in the house that, like...
They have these kind of, like, plug-in phone things, yeah.
So you couldn't take one of those out in the garden with you?
No.
How did you feel about... I mean, that must have been preferable to being in jail in the same
Well,
situation.
in a funny sort of way, when I came off tag, I got a bit kind of depressed because all the time I was at home on tag, I kind of had a get-out clause for everything.
Yeah.
So if I didn't want to go somewhere, I could say, I can't do that, I'm on tag, you know, which was great. And then suddenly I had to...
That's great.
You know,
so all these things you didn't want to go to, the friends maybe inviting or family inviting...
Yeah,
you
I
said,
could kind of say, oh, I can't, I've got to be home by 7. So it was great. And, you know, and then suddenly it was like, I can't use that excuse anymore. You
I
know?
want to get one of those things, but I don't want to get it the same way you did. OK, how many months were you sentenced for in jail?
15 months.
15 months. So you knew with time off for good behaviour, you'd probably only do about 4 or 5.
Well, first time sentence is usually, you do 4 months.
So it's 4 months.
Depending on, you know, you do a sort of quarter of your sentence.
And don't take this the wrong way, but I'm a bit surprised it was your first sentence. Like
Oh, me
this,
too.
Because, you know, you...
Wrong end of my game, that's the problem.
So this was the kind of... Because you'd had brushes with the law in the past.
Yeah,
Drug
I mean,
related,
you know, in a way I
was.
had it coming for a while, you know, so, you know, it wasn't that big a surprise for me.
And so when you knew you were going to go inside, that must have been a very grim and difficult thing to get your head around.
Well, you know, I kind of knew it was going to happen. I expected it to happen. I mean, everyone around me was like, no, you get a suspended sentence. But because in my head I'd kind of believed that I was going to prison, by the time it happened, I'd kind of got my head around it.
You were ready for it?
Yeah, and I knew that, you know, how long it would be in the end, and, you know, I just kind of got on with it, you know.
And presumably you knew already the rules and restrictions that would apply in there in terms
No,
of...
not at all. I had no idea. I mean, I'd never been to prison before, you know.
But
it was a first-time experience.
Is there not a website you can go to, or people... I would have been checking out, what can I take, what should I pack?
No,
you know?
there's very little information about what can happen. You know,
So
you
when
don't
you're
know
in
anything.
there, who tells you that? On the first day they explain that to you, or...?
Well, no, there's nothing explained to you. You just get taken and, you know, and then you're in there, you know.
Who takes you there? Do you have to go
big
to a
burly
police...
men.
So you go to a police station, do you, and hand yourself over?
No. You go. I went straight from court. You go from court into a waiting cell, and then you go into one of those vans, those Serco vans, you know, like a sardine, and then you go off. And yeah, it's. I mean, I think the first 48 hours were a little bit of a shock to me.
I can imagine.
I mean, the funniest thing was I watched Obama's inauguration when I was in Pentonville, and that was like contrast, you know.
yeah.
I should be there, you know. Yeah. But you know, whatever. I just got on with it, you know.
But what were you said the first 48 hours were a bit of a shock. How so? What was going through your head? What did you miss? What were you fearful of?
Well, it's the unknown, you know. I mean, you walk in. Pentonville is a Victorian prison, so it's the classic. You know, every movie you've ever seen, it's that kind of setup. So you walk in and you've got the balconies, the safety nets, people shouting, "Come a chameleon," banging things. That doesn't happen in every prison.
I was going to say that's... I don't remember that ever happening to Jimmy Cagney.
No, but, you know, you get a lot of attention when you first go in, and especially if you're Boy George.
They knew you were coming, I guess.
Oh, absolutely, they knew I was coming, yeah. So, you know, I got a lot of attention, but... in a funny sort of way, you know, people were actually quite sweet. You know, I mean, people were coming and saying, "Oh, do you need a toothbrush? You know, do you want a mirror?" No, people were actually really nice.
But this is the
There's some nice people in prison.
Well, of course, because... Was there any talk of an escape, a breakout? Did you start? Did you plan? Did you have spoons ready?
No, I wasn't there. I wasn't there really long enough.
You didn't have a big poster like Shawshank, and you were chipping away, chipping away.
I knew he was going to do this.
Reduce it to trivial nonsense. Yeah. No, you know, I can't understand. I can't begin to. I think. I mean, I empathise with you, but I can't understand how that must have felt, because you've gone from being, you know, a very, very celebrated public figure, someone who's had their public ups and downs, but suddenly your freedom is taken away from you, and it is taken from you, isn't it?
Well,
That's the
you
thing.
know, it is and it isn't. you know, what you do when you're in there is you kind of think, well, OK, how am I going to make this work for me? You know, what's the best thing to do? Got a job really quickly. I worked in the kitchen. I made all the vegetarian food, you know, and I just got on with it. And the more you do that, the quicker it goes, the less hassle you get, you know, because the people that are there, they're not the reason you're there. And they're actually quite nice, you know. Yeah. They're all very friendly to me. I think they expected me to be like Ruth Ballinger in that Prisoner Cell Blockade, so if you remember that. Take my coat. I think they, you know, with me, they probably thought I was going to be a complete nightmare. And the fact that I wasn't...
Yeah, they thought you'd be how we imagine Elton John would be in that situation.
Yeah, they thought I was going to be really different. In fact, talking of Elton, he actually sent me this huge ghetto blaster when I was there, and I couldn't have it. Unfortunately, they wouldn't let me have it. But,
because, you know, if you opened up, there were knives and stuff, and there was a fire. It was a giant fire.
Let it go. But, you know, it's very sweet, you know, and you know, the governor...
But that is very sweet that he did that.
It was very sweet, and the governor said that it was like a Blue Peter appeal down the...
So they had a lot of stuff coming in for you?
People were sending me teapots and kettles and eiderdowns, and I got sent a chocolate willy, which was quite funny. And I got this piece of paper stuck under my cell door to say that I couldn't have it. You know.
That's even worse, isn't it?
Yeah, I was very
And when you saw the warden, did he have a little telltale mark around his mouth?
I never said that.
He'd been enjoying
one of the funniest things that happened was somebody sent me a boys' magazine. I don't know if you know what boys' magazine is.
No.
It's a gay magazine. And I was going through it, and then I realised they'd kind of covered up all the willies. So somebody had actually gone through the magazine and spent quite a long time covering them up.
Is that like an advent calendar, though? Are you allowed one a day? As it gets nearer to Christmas. Oh, we saved the big one. Oh, look at that.
That did make me laugh. But, you know, I mean, the thing is, you know, yeah, I made friends in there. I got lots of letters from, you know, people that I didn't know.
Well, there was a lot, I know, an awful lot of goodwill towards you. A lot of people thinking...
and I was very grateful for that.
And I think what was interesting was, you know, the fact that you seemed quite accepting of it. You know, you weren't someone you didn't start complaining, you didn't start pleading it was an injustice. You know, you obviously were getting on with it. And I suspect, please correct me, on the part of you thought, OK, this is something which I can use to take me to the next stage in my life.
What, like make a hip-hop album? No, I mean, you know, it wasn't a career move, Jonathan.
I know it wasn't a career move.
And the album's out next week.
It's a concept album.
I mean, you know, I think, you know, what I can say about it was that, you know, it was 4 months to kind of be with myself, you know, and I kind of just used the time to kind of think about my life.
Oh, look at that.
Who grew up to look like this. Look at that. Now, Alan, what happened in those years in between there? Because you were cute. Let's have a look at the first one. There's a cute young fella with all his life ahead of him. And you think, what a lovely little fella. And then you see this one in the pub, you think, blimey, I'm going to get a restraining order.
Firstly, Jonathan, I was in a play, so I wasn't
I
like dressed down Friday. And I thought, oh, I'll pop on a paedophile outfit.
What was the play? What were you playing there?
I played Mr. Iger. Yeah, and he was just like a henpecked husband. It was really good, yeah.
Did you get reviews?
No, not very good. I got no range, you see what I mean? As you say,
hang on, what's going on there? That's an unusual family.
Nan.
Oh, that's sweet.
Now, my nan, she was always like, you know, because I went and asked me grandparent, you know, for like, give me some, you know, fond memories. She goes, always treading in dog shit.
Well, there was more of it about in the 70s, wasn't there?
Yeah. Always, if there was dog shit, you'd tread in it. I wanted, like, when I first smiled, when I first walked. No, you first trod in dog shit. I was there trying to get it out. I'm like, shut up.
Well, but you can see why that memory would stay with her, because I don't know if you ever cleaned it off a child's shoe, but it's no fun.
No,
and they don't help.
Well, I had a book signing at Blue Water, and she lives down the road, so I took her along.
So she's still with us?
Yeah, she's still with us.
Yeah.
And you know what old people are like, and I rang her up. I was 15 minutes late. The Mercedes had put on to take her there.
Lovely.
Got me 15 minutes late now. Well, I've got me coat and shoes on now.
Was it fun to write? Did you enjoy it? Because I know you wrote it yourself, of course. And it's very honest, I know. You wrote about, you know, growing up and discovering that you were gay or realising that and the awkwardness of adolescence and all that.
Yeah.
Was that difficult to write? Was it cathartic?
Well, it's all right, because people say to me, oh, no, what was it like, you know, when you actually came out to your parents? And I was, honestly, I was so camp. There was no way I could come out.
Yeah.
I was never
gone back in for a while.
I was never in.
How old were you then? When you told them?
Well, I was like, I mean, it just makes me laugh that I'm actually going to sit down with my mum and dad and say, look, Something I want to tell
Something you don't know, yeah.
That goes, is this a sick joke?
So you've always spoken with the kind of slightly flamboyant, slightly...
Yeah, always had this voice, and like I put in the book, I mean, I woke up, 13, puberty had come, left with massive knockers and a voice like a pensioner. Everyone else had, like, stubbly chins. And I mean, and I know everyone's laughing about it, but I used to do country dancing, and they used to swing, and I'd be like that. And you know when you're getting looks off some of the fathers?
Yeah. Well, they were confused and they were perhaps curious.
Yes!
Now, in the book, and I've enjoyed the book very much, it's a great read. Did you mention in the book, you talk about some of the jobs you had before you decided you wanted to go to showbiz, when you were in those, when you were at school also, but afterwards, some of the worst. What were the worst jobs you had?
I've done every job. I was driver's mate.
A driver's mate is where you sit in the cab.
Yeah, and you accompany the driver on his journey
And
while
what
we
is the
delivered
purpose?
conservatories. It's to keep him awake and to direct him on the map.
So you're navigating.
Yeah, and I am awful at directions. And then, but for an extra £150, if you slept with him, not slept with him, slept with him overnight in his cabin, you got extra money, only because what you do is you'd stop off at the M25 and then you'd do like Cornwall and Devon with the conservatories. So I'd be there
So it's a long
like this,
haul.
and the cabin would be like this, and he'd be there and I'd be there with this driver. And I don't think he got much sleep. Because he was like, because after I was thinking, oh, you know, he might be like this hunky, like, driver.
You were
know.
hoping you'd get someone like Brad Pitt driving.
Yeah, you know, he looked like who I was in that
But that's
play.
quite... And how old were you then? How old were you then?
Oh, it's about 18.
18, 19, so just starting out.
The jobs, I mean, and I know it's quite funny how I wrote them, but they do get you down. I mean, there was one where I was wiping grease off of gearboxes, and it was cash in hand. So I had a massive pot of meths and a rag, and I had to wipe them off like that, and then run into this massive oven, hook them on, and then go and get it round the other back with these massive oven gloves. But the meths were seriously affecting my health, and I was like, I know everyone's happy when they leave at 5 o'clock. I was like this.
All over the place.
Off me face. That's the kind of world I lived in.
Well, there was a different world for you. I feel sorry for you because you're kind of you're quite a delicate
I
fella.
am a delicate
You're suddenly
soul.
thrown into all these big butch fellas. You have to pretend to be otherwise. Now, did you? What was the first approach you had from a man? Did you approach a man first, or did a man come on to you? When did that happen?
The thing is, very drunken at the beginning. I mean, because I grew up in Northampton and there's no gay bars. Or there's no gay scenes. So what I used to do was, I used to wait for the hairdressers to finish. And follow them and see where they went.
Well, that's some advice we're giving people
That's
here.
it.
This is public service broadcasting at its finest.
Following them home.
And did you get any action that way? You found out where to go?
A few, but very drunk. I was so nervous. I was nervous about it.
Well, of course you would be. We all are when we start out on the, you know,
Yeah,
growing
it's
up as people.
terrifying,
Regardless, straight
isn't
or gay,
it?
you're nervous to begin with.
Finally.
Finally,
I see you again.
Come, Madame. Grace Jones. Wow, that's amazing. Now, you see, I don't know what you're talking about. You say you didn't have your clothes with you. That's a fantastic outfit. Was that what you were wearing? That's day wear. You were wearing that anyway.
No, I was wearing like a bathrobe kimono kind of thing. Yes, and the kind of outfit that I make up in, so it might have little patches and powder and stuff on it. But
You look great. Doesn't she
Yeah.
look incredible, ladies and gentlemen? Grace Jones can.
Thank you.
Wow, how lovely to have you here. Hey, you know, the thing is, I'm not just saying this, you don't appear to have aged in the last 30 years or so.
Well-
What's the secret? What have you been... You just been eating blueberries all the time or something?
No, I hate blueberries.
Sorry, I mentioned them.
I think red wine is a very good thing.
No.
So the doctors told me, yeah.
You're on the red wine diet.
Yeah.
So I suppose the grapes...
Not too much.
The grapes count as one of
are
your
good.
5 a day, don't they, in the red wine?
Actually, my nickname is Grapes.
Is it? I won't ask why.
No, but I work out. I
Of course
do.
you do.
I
Of course you
do.
do.
I swim every day.
How far do you swim?
Almost
It's a
every day.
big swim, a long
Well, I
time?
try to do at least a half an hour without stopping. And I like bicycling, especially in the English side, countryside.
How nice, how nice.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I should
It's
imagine
very
you
good.
don't dress up, you know, in the proper Grace Jones outfit for the cycling, because if we saw you coming down
No,
the road
I
like that...
do
you'd-
actually. I've got an amazing outfit for cycling.
Have you really?
Yes. It's you know, it's a Miyake. I love Miyake.
So you wear Izzy Miyake when you're cycling?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Will you please tell me next
I'm
time
really
you're going out, I'm just
loyal.
going to come and hang around the corner and watch?
Actually, I'll give you one of the outfits. I have two.
I've got a watch, an outfit. I can't believe I looked alone. You know, one of the things I love about you, I love various albums you've made over the years that I've grown up listening to and I've just enjoyed so much. I was playing, you know, those albums you made with Sly and Robbie were just tremendous. But I love the way that you seem to inspire others to create art. You're something of a muse to various people, aren't you, over the years? You've worked with so many great artists.
I like to think so. I love collaborating. And I like also when I collaborate, they push me and I push them. So you end up always with something magical in the end.
Something unique. And so you argue, you fight, you throw in your own ideas? And
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I got tons of my own ideas.
I bet you have.
Yeah.
This photograph here of you, was that Jean-Paul Goude? Was that one of those
Oh, my
collaborations?
goodness.
That's a great photograph,
Yes,
isn't
it was Jean-Paul.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
How important is that part of, when you were recording and making music, how important is the visual side of it and the kind of image of the album covers and the look you're creating? Is that...
No, it's all very important for me because actually I really started on the stage as a teenager. And then my mother was very much into fashion. She was a seamstress, did weddings and things like that, and embroidered and crocheted. And we were all brought up doing that, learning how to do that. So that was very important for me. And I think growing up in Jamaica with a very religious background made my imagination even so much more out there, out of the box.
Why was that? Because of the colour of the religion you were feeling, or was it the fact that you
colour.
wanted to break out of it?
No, it wasn't the color. It's just that I realized I was living in a bubble. And there was not much going on except for, you know, school, which was in church, and school, which was in church and school.
And how did young Grace rebel against that? At what
well,
age did you start? At what age did you start pushing against that?
As soon as I think I pushed at it in a hidden way, where they didn't actually realize I was actually doing it in my own quiet way. And as soon as everyone would come home or see them coming home from climbing a tree, you know, looking down the road, then I'd take off my nail polish, you know, and I'd do all the things that vanity. I have a lot of vanity.
How did your mum react when you started changing, when you started rebelling against it? How did she deal with it?
Well, you know, marry a preacher, you know, like she did. And that's why one of the songs is called William's Blood in Me on the new album. And that all has to do about my mom trying to get me to do what she did. Otherwise, you know, you're going to be manizing and drinking and you're going to live a short life, you know.
Which is 2 out of those 3 you've been
That
doing,
is
I
what?
guess. Is that... Because you've enjoyed the company of gentlemen, and you've, as we know, you live on the red wine diet.
Yeah,
So-
well, yeah. And I
two
got
out of
her
three,
to drink
I
a little sip or two to realize that it's the blood of Christ in church.
Has she relaxed, though? Is your mum,
Oh, yeah,
is your mum,
totally.
she's still alive, your
Yes,
mum, yeah?
she is.
So
My
she
dad
must...
just passed.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Absolutely.
Have you raised your son with any religion at all? Have you, did you steer him?
Well,
in
yeah, I mean, you know, spiritually, I have raised him
Yeah,
spiritually.
yeah.
I
There
think
he is.
that's
There's
the
a good-looking
key.
young boy, of course, we'd expect nothing less.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's him. Eat your hearts out, as they say.
Please welcome Stephen Fry.
My dear fellow.
Give me some man love.
Here you are.
Stephen Fry, ladies and gentlemen. Make yourself as comfortable as you can. How great to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Wow.
It's a great, it's an honour and a privilege to be one of the 3 to help you off the naughty step today.
God bless you, Nanny.
Yeah.
God bless you, Nanny. Well, I couldn't wish for lovelier helping hands. He looks good. Doesn't Stephen look good? You're looking pretty handsome. You're looking rugged. You're looking tanned. Is this because of your travels?
Yes, I just got back a few days ago from Australia and New Zealand. Been filming that.
And this is a new series?
Yes. It's a series about endangered species. I've been in the Amazon, looking at manatees, and in Africa, looking at rhinoceroses and gorillas and things, and in Madagascar, and then in New Zealand at the kakapo.
Now, the kakapo, what is a kakapo?
Kakapo, you probably know, in New Zealand, they for millions of years had no mammals. They only had really birds. Well, they had a couple of bats, to be truthful, but they had no big mammals, no cats, no dogs, no stoats.
I'm going to stop you there because I had no idea.
No, that's right.
Well, no, you...
For millions of years, all they had was birds.
Why was that?
Well, it's just when the continent, you know, of the great supercontinent sheared off in bits, it so happened it didn't carry any mammals with it, and in the bit that was New Zealand. Wow. So all the birds developed, you know, pretty lazy habits because nothing wanted to eat them.
Nothing's to eat them.
So they lost the ability to fly. And in the case of the kakapo, which is a parrot, a night parrot, huge, fat, waddly thing.
I think that we have a picture of one there. It does just look like a very fat bird, like an owl parrot.
Yes, you're quite right. Actually, that's its Latinised name means owl parrot. Strigops. Yeah, well, you're very good. And
suddenly I feel like I'm on QI and I've just won a point.
But it's rather an interesting thing about evolution is that fear itself is something that evolves because you need it. So when a deer kind of goes like that, when a twig snaps, it's because things want to eat deer. Yeah. But the kakapo, over millions of years, waddled around. Nobody wanted to eat it. And so when, very recently, man arrived in the shape first of the Maoris in the 13th, 14th, 15th centuries, they brought rats with them. And then the Europeans arrived a few hundred years later, and they brought cats and dogs. And I'm afraid the kakapo just waddle up and go hello, and they would just be eaten, and not even run away while they were being eaten. They thought, this is a new experience. I wonder if I like this. And they would literally just pick them up and put them in a pot. It's terribly sad. So there are 90 left in the world.
Only the 90?
90. They also have the maddest system of mating. It's very odd. They dig a bowl, and the males, they stand in it, and they boom. Huge boom. It carries for miles and miles.
Like a call.
It's like blowing across a huge milk bottle. And the females wander about trying to work out where the noise comes from because a deep noise is very hard to locate. So they're, you know, and then they go and they may decide not to mate, and they're rather strange.
That's the same technique that darts players use, I believe.
Well, darts players haven't tried to mate me, as far as I know, whereas a kakapo did its very best to have my babies.
No, but they're not human size. I mean, it's not as big as...
they're big, no, but this particular one, the thing about birds, as you probably know, there's a very famous Tom and Jerry episode, actually, where it happens, is when a chick hatches, it thinks the first thing it sees is its parent. And it can be a human, it can be a dog, it can be another type of bird, like the ugly duckling famously thought it was.
What a sweet trait.
Yeah, exactly. And so this particular kakapo was imprinted as a human. So whenever it saw a human, the male, it would try and do its best. And Mark Carwardine, who's the great zoologist who's going around with me and teaching me all these things, he actually had the thing on his shoulder, beating its wings, trying to find a hole in the back of his neck, I think. Most mysterious.
How weird.
Yeah, but wonderful. It's great to travel around the world. New Zealand's a very beautiful place. Very lucky to see all these animals. As you probably know, television is being almost entirely replaced by people going around the world, and I'm very lucky.
But well, I can't have enough of that. I love those sort of shows. You said there were something like 90 left?
Yeah.
And they used to be eaten. Did you get to eat one? Were you tempted? I mean, because if there's 90, 89 is nearly 90, and that's a real experience,
You're
isn't it?
a very bad man, and you may not quite have got hold of the right idea.
You'd have to at least eat a wing or something, you know.
It doesn't need its wing, that's a fair point.
There you go, we could have a wing.
Yeah.
The series is called Last Chance to See. Let's hope that the title doesn't turn out to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, no, that's right. I mean, there are a couple of species that we wanted to look at that are now functionally extinct. One is the dolphin, the river dolphin in China, and the other is the northern white rhino. And
you couldn't find them, or...?
Well, there are a few northern white rhino, but they're beyond mating age, and so the species will no longer exist in a few years.
That's terrible, isn't it? What a terrifying thing.
It is sad.
Let me ask you about, what was this? And I've been following Stephen Fry. There's something called Twitter.
Twitter.
Twitter's an online, it's kind of a computer, it's like a message board, essentially.
It is, a much mocked one by those who don't sort of get it. And I can understand people not getting it, because basically you've got 140 characters, including spaces, in which to say what you're doing.
So it's like a text message, but it's limited in size.
They call it micro-blogging, which is perhaps a grand way of describing it. I find it wonderful, because all these nice people, these fellow Twitterers, follow me, as it were. So when when I'm around the world and I say, oh, I saw this today, or I did this. And of course, those who mock Twitter say, well, it's just saying, I had breakfast. And so on. There's an element of I had
Well,
breakfast.
I was following you. You follow people. You would sign on and say, I'd like to find out what this person's up to. And a lot of it was showing how far you'd walked every day. And I got quite intrigued about the amount of walking you were doing. And I'll be honest, I began to worry about your walking. I was going to send you some taxi fare to get you back from one of them. You sounded to me like you were overdoing the walking. But this was just a post-Christmas...
It is. I'm a hopelessly overweight figure. And walking's the only thing I can do with any pleasure, and there's one reason I can walk with pleasure, and it's a really interesting one, I think, because it's technology, which I love, or a sort of technology, and that's audiobooks. See, if you walk to music, it's fine. You can do a sort of Peter Kay thing for a while and do that sort of marching to the music.
Amarillo, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But then you kind of constantly going, no, I'm bored with that. I want something else. And you're stopping and you're, rejigging your MP3 player. But an audiobook is just fantastic. You can walk... I mean, yesterday I walked 6 miles. I walked from my home in West Hampstead all the way to Waterloo, past Waterloo. It was the easiest thing in the world because I was listening to a great story, and they're read by wonderful people. You can get them on the internet.
I think I should try that.
You should. You'll really love it.
Great novel.